Sure.
So let's wait a couple of minutes to see if somebody else shows up,
Okay.
and then we'll start. Okay, guys, I think we can start now. Please, if you could turn your cameras on. I'm gonna need you guys to turn your cameras on, please. Okay, thanks, Louise. What about the rest of you guys? Please, can you turn your cameras on? I will give you guys a couple of seconds. Okay, guys, well, in any case, for those of you who can't turn your cameras on for some reason today, that's okay. You know, it won't be a problem for today. But starting tomorrow in our regular classes, I am really gonna need you guys to turn your cameras on. And it's actually something that comes from administration. It's not something that I am establishing, but it's a policy that we've been using here at Executive English for so long now. And it's because we've seen that students who have their cameras on are more likely to be present, be paying attention, participating in class, and therefore learning more. So the best, I think it's a win-win. You know, having online courses, I know how it works. I know how easy it is to get distracted with everything pretty much. So it's important that you guys try to have your cameras on in class. And it's gonna be beneficial for everybody, both like the class and you guys personally. So I would really appreciate it if you could do the effort of I don't know, setting up your cameras and stuff before class. Now, obviously, if for some reason you guys aren't able to turn your cameras on one day, let's say that you're not at home yet, or you're having problems with your computer, you're joining from your cell phone, that's okay. You know, it's totally understandable. But I am, like, you know, I mean in general, right? In general, let's try to have our cameras on. Guys? So, first thing, welcome to this TOEFL preparation course. I guess I'd like to start by saying that it's one of the biggest programs we have here at Executive English, and I'd like to welcome you all to this preparation course. We're going to see today, we're not supposed to be having class, so what we're doing right now is not an actual class, it's just an introductory session. Normally, we wouldn't have classes on Mondays, as you probably know already. Our classes are going to be scheduled Tuesdays through Fridays. Okay, so it's just 4 times a week, 4 hours a week, Tuesdays to Fridays. Okay, guys, you probably know this already, but we will be having classes, although this is wrong, right? At 7 p.m. Bolivia time. Let me change this. Okay. So we are going to be having classes Tuesdays through Fridays at 7 p.m. Bolivia time, right? Today, it's the only day that we're having class a little bit later, 8 p.m., but it's only because it's our introductory session, okay? Normally, we're going to be having classes at 7. It's Bolivia time, so I don't know if there's any of you who lives in a different country. Is there anyone who's not from Bolivia here? Pamela, where are you from?
Hi, I'm from El Salvador.
Okay, good. And what time is it there?
Today 6 p.m., but I understand that all the days will be at 5.
Exactly. Yes, it'll
Yeah.
be 5 for you. Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. So then for the rest of us, it's gonna be 7 p.m. Bolivia, right? Bolivia under this time zone. Now, does anyone know how many weeks this course will last? Can anyone tell me?
6 weeks, right?
Exactly, 6 weeks. So if we have 6 weeks of class and every week we'll be having 4 classes, that means that in total we'll be having 24 classes, right? 24 sessions, 24 one-hour classes. And I'm not counting 2 days, right? Starting tomorrow, Tuesday. So 24 classes in total. Out of these 24, half of them, that means 12, will be theory. That means that we're going to be looking at the theory behind the TOEFL test. We're going to be looking at things like the format of the exam, sample responses, the question types, the strategies and tips and hacks to answer each question type. Um, I mean, we'll be looking at everything that you guys need to know, everything you need to learn in terms of the theory. And the other half will be practice sessions. So other 12 classes are going to be for practicing. And this is where you guys will be practicing. So you are going to be answering real TOEFL questions in order to practice whatever it is that we learned the day before. So our theory classes will be held on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and our practice sessions will be Wednesdays and Fridays. Okay, so tomorrow we start with theory, on Wednesday we see practice, Thursdays for theory again, and we finish the week practicing on Friday. Okay, guys? So it's 12-12, and that way we get to see, we get to do a little bit of everything. Okay? Is this okay so far? I don't know if you guys have any questions or any comments. Okay. So here's a little bit about me, about myself. I already introduced myself. I already told you my name. My name is Andrea de la Torre. And well, I am an ESL teacher. I teach English as a second language. I've been certified by TEFL Universal, which is an international school. And well, I've got some years of experience teaching both English, but mostly preparing students for standardized English exams, such as the TOEFL test. So I've been teaching TOEFL preparation, IELTS, a little bit of other standardized exams as well, not necessarily English exams, but also like the SAT, the GRE. So that's what I mostly do. I prepare students for standardized exams, especially the TOEFL test. I've been working here at Executive English for over 2 years now. I actually started on late 2020, so it's gonna be almost three. And well, I obviously took the test myself. I took the TOEFL test. I took the TOEFL IBT test, which is probably the one that you guys are going to be taking. And I obtained a score of 114 out of 120, which is the maximum score you guys can get. So here's a screenshot of my score report. And you also have the sub scores, the scores that I got in each section, in case you guys are interested in knowing this. This is the last test that I took, which was on May 2022, so last year. Okay, guys. So I don't know if you guys have any questions. I guess this is the most relevant things that I need to tell you about myself. I also teach math and English, but I guess that's not as important as well. Uh, that doesn't really fit into this thing, right? So what do you guys think? Do you have any questions? Is there anything you would like to know? Anything else you'd like to, I don't know, to ask me about? You got no questions? Okay, guys, good. Now, this is a TOEFL preparation course, right? So of course we need to start by looking a little bit into what the TOEFL test is. And we're going to talk a little bit about the TOEFL itself. So what can you guys tell me? What do you guys know so far about the TOEFL test? Anything you know is okay. Maybe some of you guys have taken the test before. Maybe some of you guys have seen anything about the TOEFL test or have heard anything. Maybe you can tell me a bit of what you need it for. So what can you guys tell me about the TOEFL exam? No one, nothing? Is there anyone who's taking the test before?
I took the TOEFL test.
Okay, thanks, Luis. So can you tell us a little bit about the experience?
Well, I think it was a stressful experience because I take the exam in the ISB college. That's not called school.
Okay.
And all kids I take in mm, the kids part, I think.
Okay. So you took
And
it while kids were having class.
yes,
Oh, okay. I didn't know they scheduled exams for days like that. Okay, anything else that you can tell us about how was it? Do you think that it was an easy test? Anything else you can tell us about the TOEFL?
Get the version this month, right?
I'm sorry, Erasmo, I can't hear you very well. Come again? Okay, so I think, oh, okay, don't worry about it. Maybe you can type if you want to say something. Okay, guys. So, well, To start, the TOEFL test is an English exam. So it's a standardized exam. Standardized basically means, hang on a second. Okay, the TOEFL is, yes, there's a new version of the TOEFL test actually that has very recently been launched. July 26th, they started with this new version of the TOEFL test. So yes, it's gonna be a little bit different than the one that you took at Luis, probably, but not very different. So as I was telling you, the TOEFL exam is an standardized exam. Standardized means that no matter where you take it, you'll take the same test, same structure. Now, it's an English exam for people who learn English as a foreign language, right? Who learn English as a second or as a foreign language, whose native English is not, I'm sorry, whose native language is not English. So usually people who learn English, non-native speakers, take an English exam at the end of their learning journey once they have learned the language and they want to kind of have some sort of certification, or sometimes they just want to prove it to themselves, and they take an English exam, right? It can be used also to apply to certain things, to apply to certain universities, to study abroad, to apply to certain jobs abroad, to just demonstrate your proficiency in the language. Now, what else was I gonna say? The TOEFL is not the only English exam available, as you probably know. There are other international tests as well, because this is an international test, right? However, there's only three that are the most common ones, the most known ones, I would say. The first one is the TOEFL exam, the second one is the IELTS, and the third is the Cambridge exam. And those three are the traditional ones, the ones that have been there for the longest time. So I guess we could name those three. Now, the TOEFL exam specifically is such a big exam that there are many versions of it. Now, the IBT here is only one of the versions of the exam. It's called IBT because it stands for Internet-Based Test. That means that you will take this exam on a computer using the internet. It's not something that you take on paper. But there are other versions of the exam. For example, you have the PBT, which is the opposite, that you actually take on paper. Now, one thing that I want to say here is that you guys need to be completely sure and you need to check that the exam that you're taking is the IBT, right? The TOEFL IBT, the internet-based test. Because there are others as well. As I told you, there are other versions. Recently, they have launched the TOEFL Essentials, which is another exam. It's a TOEFL, but it's a different version, less academic version. So you need to be really sure that you're taking the TOEFL IBT. Okay, guys? So, do you have any questions now? Pamela?
Yes, I know that there is also a home edition, but this is exactly like an IBT or it is different?
Okay, great question. And actually, I'm going to talk about that later in a bit. So yes, you're right. Some things that you guys should know about the TOEFL test. First, let's start by answering Pamela's question. It is true that right now you have two options. When you go and register for taking the exam, the TOEFL IBT, you have two different options. You can either take the test at home, and that is the home edition, or if you want, you can go to an authorized test center like Luis did, right? You can go to a test center and take the test there. And an example of a test center is exactly where Luis took his test, the ASB in Cochabamba. So you have those two options. You can decide if you want to take this same test at home or in a test center. It doesn't matter where you take the test, if it's the home edition or not, you will have the same exam. So no, nothing's gonna change in terms of the content or the format. It is the exact same test, the TOEFL IBT, no matter where you take it. Guys, this is something relatively new post-COVID. So it's up to you where you want to take the test. But yes, it is the same exam for me. Any other questions? Guys. So in regards to where you guys take the test, truth is, the difference, as I told you, there's no difference in content, right? You take the test at home, you're gonna take the same test that you took in a test center, no problem. Now the thing is, even though there's no difference in terms of content, the difference is on the experience, okay? So it is obviously gonna be different taking the test at home than taking it in a test center. So let's talk about both options. This is taking the test at home, the home edition. And this is gonna be taking the test in a test center. So can you guys tell me, what do you think an advantage of taking the test at home could be? Why would people prefer to take the test at home?
Less distraction.
I'm sorry, Erasmo?
Less distraction in a ticket section.
Exactly, perfect. And this is exactly what Luis was saying, right? So he took the test in a school and there were kids playing around, having class, and that's probably very distracting, right? So if you take the test at home, you can control, where you're gonna take the test. You can, I don't know, pick up a good room. You're gonna be taking the test probably alone. You have to be alone, and you have to be the only one in the room, but you can even have an empty house. You're taking the test at your own desk, using your own computer. So it is true that there's fewer distractions, and it's more comfortable as well, right? Because you're taking the test in a familiar place. You don't have to, it's more convenient, right? You don't have to go to the test center, you don't have to commute there, you don't have to wake up 1 hour early. And another reason why people take the test at home is because you have more dates and more times available. What do I mean by this? When you guys take the test at home, you can pretty much choose when you want to take the test. And I think you have like 4 options a week. So if you register for the test right now, you can take the test next week, no problem. And I guarantee that there will be a lot of dates available and a lot of times available as well. You don't necessarily have to take the test 8 a.m. Like you do in a test center. However, if you guys take the test in a test center, you need to register at least a month before your exam date. Because if you go now to the website and you search for, or you're trying to register for taking a test in a test center, then there are gonna be only a limited number of dates available. That means that there's probably gonna be 1 or 2 dates in the two next months. So you have to choose from the available dates, right? You can take the test whenever you want. There's gonna be a specific date that they are administering the test, and you just have to choose that one. And it's probably gonna be a month from now. So you have fewer dates as well if you take the test in a test center. I guess these are the advantages, right? You have fewer distractions, it's more comfortable, more convenient, and you have more dates and times available. Now, in terms of the distractions, this is probably the number 1 reason why people will prefer to take the test at home. For example, in my case, I took the test in the CBA. I didn't take it in the ASB. And even though there weren't other people having class, it was a Saturday, so I think there weren't any classes scheduled for that day. But the truth is, you will be taking the test probably with other people next to you. So when I took the test, there were like 7 or 8 more people taking the test with me. And we were all in the same room, sitting next to each other, and starting the test at different times. So when I was doing, let's say, the listening section, I was finishing my listening section, maybe the person next to me was already in the speaking, and I could hear them doing their speaking responses. So I could hear the person answering some speaking questions, and that can be really distracting, especially if you guys are not in sync and you're not doing the same thing as the people around you. It can be distracting, especially when they are doing their speakings, So that is probably why people would want to take the test at home sometimes. Because when you take it at home, you don't have that. You can focus on your own thing, nothing's gonna distract you. And whether we want it or not, being distracted can affect your score. right? So obviously, if you're distracted, then you won't be 100% into your exam, and that will have an impact on your score. So what I recommend is if you guys will take the test in a test center, the number one thing you should be doing is practicing with background noise. When you practice, you should have background noise so that you get used to having those distractions and you get used to like focusing on your exam without paying attention to any of the things that could be happening around. It's really important if you guys will take the test in a test center to practice with distractions, with background noise, okay, to simulate the day of your exam. And obviously to take care of and take provisions for the dates, right? You need to register with some time ahead. So those are the advantages of taking the test at home. Now, what about taking the test in a test center? Because so far it looks like home edition is the best. But why do people still take the test in a test center then? What do you guys think? Any ideas on why taking the test in a test center is also a good thing? The number one reason, and the reason why I personally took the test in a test center and I didn't take it at home, is because it's safer. There's less risk. What do I mean by it's safer? What happens is if you guys take the test at home, you're gonna be using your own computer. You're gonna be using your own Wi-Fi connection. So there is a chance that something could go wrong, you know? Maybe something stops working, your computer freezes, your Wi-Fi doesn't work, maybe your microphone's not working, maybe you haven't done the testing properly and something's wrong. Maybe they find something suspicious on your computer, like, and they, because there are certain softwares, especially for for gamers, who like who share their screens live. And if they find something like that, something that may be interfering with the program or the software of the test, then they could easily cancel your scores when you take the test at home. So I have had some cases of some students who have lost their exams because of something like that, because of uh, their computer failing them or just something suspicious and the proctor canceling their exams. So if you guys will take the test at home, you need to be really careful with that. You need to make sure that everything is working perfectly well, that that your computer it's better if it's a new computer or a computer that you don't really use that much, so that there's nothing there, no software installed. And you need to be really sure, especially with the things like the microphone, the speakers, your camera, and all of that. Okay, so that's the thing, and that's why I took the test in a test center. Because if you take the test in a test center, you go there, and no matter what happens, it will never be your fault. When I was taking the test, this is a personal story. I was in the listening section, and suddenly the computer, I don't know what happened, but I didn't get to hear the audio file, and it went directly to the questions. So for a moment, I was freaking out, but I just called the person in charge, and she was really kind. She asked me to leave for a second, and she solved the problem, and I was back listening to the audio file. So they will solve any problems that you may have. If anything happens, they will make it up for you, in a way. So that's the reason why people still prefer sometimes to take the test in a test center, because it is safer. There's less risk of anything happening. That's one thing. Now, another thing is that I don't know why really, but for some reason, there are some universities that don't accept the TOEFL home edition. I don't know why. I don't know if they think that students may cheat. I don't know if it's easy to cheat or not, to be honest. But there's a reason why some universities still don't accept the home edition. I don't know if that's gonna change either. Most of the universities do, but especially if you guys are applying to specific universities, you need to you need to check, in the requirements and see if they accept the home edition or not. Because if they don't accept it, then you may be taking the test in vain. So just make sure that you check that with your university in case you guys are using the test for applying to a certain university to see if they accept the home edition or not. So that's another reason why people still take the test in a test center. And I guess those are the only two, you know? So we're gonna say it's more recognized. And that's it. So these are things that you guys really need to consider when deciding where to take the test. And it's up to you. You know, you need to see, you need to balance things out, see how much in a hurry you are, see how good you deal with instructions, see if you need a test for a university or not. So you need to be careful with those things. Is that okay, guys? Any questions now? Any questions, comments? Okay, guys, great. So moving on. Okay, the reasons why people take the exam, and you probably know this, is it's usually for academic reasons, in order to apply to scholarships, to different universities, different programs, academic programs, not necessarily in universities, you know? Like it could be for exchange students, for internships, for students who are trying to do anything abroad, you know? And not necessarily abroad either. You know, there are many students or many universities here in South America that ask their students to take the exam as well. So usually for academic reasons, or sometimes some students take it for work-related reasons in order to apply to certain jobs, certain positions that require English. So it's a good way to showing that you speak the language, that you're fluent, or your level, your proficiency. And it's obviously a good thing to have on your resume, for sure. So that's it. Now, let's get to know each other a little bit. I want to hear you guys. I want to hear what you have to say. So I would ask you guys to tell me a little bit about yourselves. If you can tell me, please, your name, where you're from, where you're living currently, but most importantly, give me some context as to why you're taking the exam. Tell me why do you need to take the TOEFL exam? What are you going to use it for? Tell me if you need a specific score in the test. So I don't know, there are some students who are applying to specific universities who have that decided already, and the university is asking them for a specific score. So if that's your case, let me know. That's really important information that I need to know. And anything else you want to tell me, that's okay as well. You know, maybe you could tell me a bit about what you're doing, what you do, what your plans are, if you're okay with that, of course. So perhaps we can start with Pamela.
Okay, well, my name is Pamela Abrego, and I am from El Salvador. In San Salvador is the capital. Well, I am taking this course because take the TOEFL exam is a requirement for my graduation, and I need over than 80 points.
Okay, good, Pamela, thanks. So it's a requirement for your graduation. Yeah, that's the case of some university in Bolivia as well. Okay, thanks. Luis, what about you?
Well, my name is Luis Valderrama. I'm from Cochabamba, Bolivia. I need to take the TOEFL because it's a requirement for the university. It's my last subject, and I need to over 60 points.
All right. So do you go to PB?
Yes.
Okay, good. Erasmo?
Hi, my name is Erasmo Flores. I'm from El Salvador, and I taking this course because I want to do the TOEFL to apply a grad school in US. And usually the US university, uh, do you need a score of 80 approximately or more?
Okay, good. So you're applying for grad school, 80 or more. And from El Salvador as well. Okay, nice. We have two people from there. So yes, usually they ask a B1, B2, so that should be 80 above. Okay, thank you as well. Maria Rene.
Hi, my name is Maria Rene Rosell. I am from Cochabamba, Bolivia. Well, in my case, in order to graduate from university, I need to take the TOEFL and I need to have a minimum score of 62.
Okay, UPB as well.
Yes.
Okay, great. Alejandro.
Well, my name is Alejandro. I am from Cochabamba. I need because for the university they require me to graduate. And I need a score of 70.
Okay, UPB too.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. Do you guys know each other by any chance? You don't? Okay. But if you guys go to the same university, maybe you can be study buddies. You know, you can try to get together. Well, not necessarily get together, I mean, but and this goes for everybody. You know, it's good to have somebody to practice with mainly because you will need to practice more than what we do in class. What I usually say is prepare for the exam. Now, this is not for everybody, right? I won't force you guys to do these, but especially for those of you who are aiming for really high scores, like if you need 90 or above, or if you need 100 or above, then that does require a lot of practice, right? It depends on what your goals are. Of course, everybody's different. Everybody's taking the test for a different reason. Everybody wants a different score. Everybody's starting in a different place. So it obviously depends, but especially if you guys are looking for or aiming for the top score, then it is necessary that you practice way more than what we're gonna do in class. So, and when practicing, it's good to have somebody to practice with too. So I'm just saying. Rosario, what about you?
Okay. Well, good night. My name is Rosario. I'm from Cochabamba, Bolivia. I'm from San Simon University. I am from, yes, San Simon University. I'll finish the university this year and I want to apply to a master's degree. So I really don't know at what country I want to apply, but I want to achieve a high score, like a B2 or C1.
Okay, Rosario, great. I like that. I like that attitude. So yes, especially if you're applying for scholarships. I don't know if you are. Are you planning on applying for any scholarship?
Yes, yes, miss.
Okay. So yeah, in that case, yeah, it's necessary. I mean, the higher the better. So good, Rosario.
Thanks.
Okay, guys. I'm not missing anybody, am I? Okay, good. So I really hope that this course helps you get there. I know that not for, I mean, again, you know, not everything I say goes for everyone, but for some people, taking the test is like a step to get somewhere, you know, it's like a big step to get somewhere else. So I hope that this course helps you get there. And I'm gonna do my best. I really hope that we can have a dynamic class as well, that you guys can participate in class. We can get to know each other a little bit more, and then we don't make it something so boring, you know? So So yes, I guess that's what I wanted to say. Welcome again. Really glad to meet you all. So as for the TOEFL test itself, the thing is, as I was telling you before, we have a new version of the exam. It's very new, it's something that started happening 1 week ago. So we're going to be working on the new version of the test, obviously, because nobody's going to be taking the previous version. So let's talk a little bit about the TOEFL exam, about its structure or its format, let's say. Okay, here it is. So first of all, in the TOEFL exam, you guys will be evaluated on 4 different skills, which are reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Those are the 4 things, the 4 sections that we have in the exam: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. They go in that order. That means that your exam will start in the reading section and it'll finish in the writing section. And you will have a break. Don't worry about that. You have a 15-minute break between the listening and the speaking sections. During this break, well, I mean, it doesn't matter if you take it at home or in the test center. You're allowed to leave the room for a second, to have a snack. It is important that you have a snack during that break. So you can do that. It's 15 minutes, very valuable 15 minutes. Now, overall, the maximum score that you guys can get in the test is 120. That's the top score you can get. Every section is worth exactly the same. That means that every section is worth 30 points. So 30 for the reading, 30 for the listening, 15 minutes of break, 30 for the speaking, and 30 for the writing. Okay, this is the break, right? This is minutes. But 30 points for every section, which is good, because if you're not so good in the reading section, you can compensate that with the speaking, let's say. So every section is worth exactly the same, 30 points. And in total, you can have 120 as your maximum score. Now, as for the time, the new test, the new exam lasts a total of 2 hours, which is amazing because the previous test lasted 3.5 almost. So this is even less than 2 hours. It's a shorter exam. I like that, to be honest. Each section lasts a different amount of time. So we're not going to talk about how much time you have per section. We're going to talk about that when we get to each section, okay? Right now, I don't want you guys to worry about any of that. The important thing is that you know that you're going to be taking the test for 2 hours. It's over 120, and each section is worth exactly the same, 30 points. You get a break. Guys, reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Do you have any questions about this? Okay. Now here's our calendar. This is how we are going to be organizing the content of the course during the 6 weeks that we will have of class. Tomorrow starts week number 1, right? This is our first week. Tomorrow is our first class. We are not going to start in the reading section. Okay, we won't be starting in the reading. We're actually going to start in the last question of the speaking section. So it's really important that you guys have this in hand. I want you all to take a screenshot of my screen, and I want you to have this so that you don't get lost. We are gonna start this week in the speaking section, and we will continue with the writing. Next week, week number 2 will be for the writing as well. On the 3rd week, we'll be doing reading. 4th week, listening. Week 5 will be speaking again, and week 6 again speaking. So it shouldn't be a problem for you guys. I know that it looks like it's all a mess, but it's not. The good thing about this test is that the sections are not correlated. That means that you don't need to know anything about the reading section to do the speaking, for example. Everything is separated, so it's like an exam on its own. So we're gonna be seeing them like this in a separated way as well. As you probably see, we're gonna be dedicating more time for the speaking and writing sections, and it's because they are the longest sections in terms of the number of questions you get. For the speaking section, for example, you have a total of 4 questions, and each one is entirely different than the other, which means that we need at least 2 classes per question, 1 practice and 1 theory. So that's why we are gonna be taking more time for the speaking and writing than we do for the reading and listening, which is pretty much the same. You know, reading and listening is just multiple choice. So that's how we're gonna organize our 6 weeks. Okay, guys? As I told you, it's important that you have this. So please screenshot, and that way you won't get lost in class and you know what we're gonna be doing each week. Is this okay? Do you guys have any questions about this?
Can you give us some advices about how to, I don't know, how to improve more? Because as you told us, it's important to practice outside the classes. So how can I improve in my speaking or writing or reading, listening?
Okay, that's a great question. The thing is, you need to work on each section separately. So the strategy, I mean, the way that you should be practicing speaking is different than the way you should be practicing reading. So I am gonna be giving you many tips when we get to each section. So for example, tomorrow we're gonna start with speaking question 4, and I will tell you how to practice, how to improve on speaking section. But what I could say in general, you know, we are gonna see the theory, as I told you, and it's important that you guys practice on your own. I'm sorry. For the reading and listening, to be honest, we are gonna be seeing all the tips, all the strategies, the question types, and everything else. And I'm gonna be giving you really good advice. But to be honest, there are general skills that you need here. First one, for example, is time management, reading and listening, right? You need to be able to answer a lot of questions in a short amount of time. So in order to practice answering questions quickly, in order to improve the way that you're managing your time, is just practicing. You know, it's just limiting your time more and more as you go. So like doing one set in 25 minutes, then doing the next in 24, 23, reducing the amount of time you need. So it's just practicing. Another thing that you will need a lot for the TOEFL test in general is vocabulary. So I would encourage you guys to work on your vocabulary, to expand your vocabulary. And when I say expand your vocabulary, I really don't mean to like study word lists or do flashcards or anything. Because when you study words like that, like separate words, you're not really building vocabulary. You're just memorizing them for a couple of days, but you will eventually forget. And I really don't think that you will be able to use them in your speech, to use those words. So what you need to do to work on vocabulary is read and listen to as many things as you can. So as much content as you can. Practice academic vocabulary. So you can read academic articles, you can read scientific articles, academic books, you can listen to academic podcasts, you can watch these National Geographic videos, TED Talks. All of that is going to help you build your vocabulary, academic vocabulary again, right? So when you're listening to a podcast, you can be reading the transcript, right? And you find a word that you don't know, you need to first try to guess what the word means by context and then search for the word. And if you search for the word and you listen to it again in context, you will see that that's how you will actually learn the word, not by just saying the word like completely excluded from everything in a separate way. It's important to see the words in context, so that way you can also improve on your vocabulary of expressions, not only words. So vocabulary, time management. For the speaking and writing sections, the thing is, they are production sections. That means that it's not like reading and listening. To practice reading and listening, it's pretty easy because you answer the questions and they are going to be automatically reviewed, right? So you get right and wrong. And they can even tell you, depending on what program you use. I will be giving you guys access to two different things for you to practice. One is Magoosh, which is a website. We're gonna see that tomorrow, where you can practice, where you have a lot of TOEFL questions to practice, every section that you want. And the other thing is two softwares that you're probably gonna be installing on your computer, where you have simulation tests. So I'm gonna be giving you access to those two things tomorrow, so you have the material to practice. And when you practice reading and listening, as I told you, everything is automatically correct, right? Automatically scored. So it's easy to practice reading and listening. Now for the speaking and writing, what we're gonna do is actually, first thing for the speaking section, we will be having speaking sessions, and this is outside of our regular classes. What are these speaking sessions? They are basically one-on-one Zoom meetings, just like the one we're having right now, but it's just one of you guys and me, individual meetings. And during these meetings, we will be practicing specifically the speaking section. What happens is, as I told you, there's no right and wrong in the speaking and writing. So it's not that easy to practice because you can have the material, but you need somebody there giving you some feedback. So initially, I'm going to be that somebody. I'm going to give you the feedback that you need during these speaking sessions, because you need personalized feedback, right? I can't give you all the same feedback. I can tell you all, okay, you guys need to, I don't know, add one more reason to your responses. I can't do that. You know, I can't generalize. All of you guys will need different things. We'll need to work on different aspects, either grammar or vocabulary or delivery. So I will be giving you that feedback during these speaking sessions. You guys have access, all of you, to 12 15-minute sessions. 12 of these sessions. It doesn't sound like a lot, but to be honest, 15 minutes, I mean, it's enough to practice and for you to make progress. So you have access to these speaking sessions. You have access to 12 of them. Each one lasts 15 minutes, and you're gonna be the ones to organize your sessions, to book them, and to schedule them. So you're gonna be doing this through the website. What you need to make sure that you do is that you finish your 12 sessions by the time that you finish the course. Because once that it's over, you won't be able to continue taking the sessions. So it's completely up to you. Ideally, you should be taking 2 sessions a week. That way you will finish your 12 by the time that you finish the course. But it's up to you. You can take 3 sessions a week, and the next week you can just take 1. You can take 4 sessions a week, and the next week you don't take any. So it's up to you how you organize them. The thing is, you need to have the 12 of them by the time you finish the course. And this is how you're gonna improve in the speaking section. And I will also be providing you guys with material for vocabulary, for grammar as well. Magoosh has a lot of grammar, and it's just practicing mostly speaking, you know, depending on everybody. But there are probably gonna be some of you guys that need to review some grammar first. So in that case, I will tell you so that you can do that. But it depends on every student. And finally, for the writing sections, what you need to do, to be honest, to practice writing, to improve writing, is read. Read as much as you can. Reading improves your writing, and listening improves your speaking. Because the more you listen, the better you're able to speak, you know? You try to imitate the way that other people speak. You learn vocabulary, you learn expressions, and you learn to just articulate the words better. So listening is gonna help you speak better, and reading is gonna help you write better. So in order to improve your writing, you need to read as much as you can, read academic content again. And for the writing section, we are gonna be practicing, you're gonna be doing essays, and you will be sending them to me, and I will be giving them back with feedback. So it's same thing as the speaking, but we don't need to have a meeting for that, right? You can just send me your essays and I'll correct them and send it back to you guys. That's what we're gonna do when we get to the speaking, when we get to the writing section. Okay, you'll have 2 assignments, 1 per question. And again, in general, it's just important that you practice. You will have access to the material to practice because I will give you access to those 2 tools that I told you about. But it's important that you practice on your own. And if you have questions, we have 1 class, 1 hour a day, right? 4 days a week, so you can always ask me. So yes, I don't know if I changed the subject a little bit, if I went off topic, but that's what I could say. I don't know if I answered your question or if there's anything else you guys want to know.
It's perfect. Thanks, Miss.
Okay, guys. Any other question? Hey guys. Well, by the way, every single class is going to be recorded. Today's class is being recorded as well. And we'll have a YouTube channel with a playlist or many playlists. I don't know, I think you have 1 playlist per section. And all classes will be there. Normally, I'm going to be sharing our classes live in our YouTube channel so that nobody has to upload them. But in any case, Carolis is the coordinator of the program. She's the one that sent the first text in the group about today's class. So she's gonna be in charge of administering the channel. I think that it's not available yet because she asked me to record today's class. And I'm gonna send today's recording and she's gonna upload it to the channel. So, but I think for tomorrow night, it should be ready. And you guys will find that the recordings of every class there. So if you guys ever miss a class or if you just want to review, you want to catch up, you have access to the recordings. Everything that we need, every type of material that we're gonna need, I'm gonna be sending it to our WhatsApp chat. And if you guys have questions, you can always, type it and I'll be happy to answer them. So no questions really before we go?
Okay.
Okay, perfect. One more thing, please, before you go. Right now, you should be seeing on your screens a little survey. It's about today's class, and we'll be doing this every single class, starting today. So I'm gonna please ask you to fill it out. And I would really appreciate it if you could do that for me before you go. And that's gonna be it for today. I will see you guys tomorrow in class. Have a great night.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.